In PlanSwift, parts are items that are able to calculate out the amount of materials needed, the cost of those materials, labor costs, as well as equipment costs. I'm going to apply our sample 2x4x8 wood stud part to this linear takeoff item that we've drawn out to represent the exterior walls. So to apply it, I just drag and dropped it, and as soon as I released on my mouse, this window pops up. This window is our input window where you can enter in and adjust the variables that are going to factor into this part. So we can change the on-center spacing if we needed. We can enter in a cost each, and cost each is going to be the price per stud. We'll hit OK. Now we can see that this part has been applied to this takeoff item, and that based off this initial takeoff measurement and based off the information that we just entered into the input window, it's figured that we're going to need 68 studs, and 578 is going to be our total cost of those studs. To build a part from the ground up, we're going to come to our Templates tab, and we're going to click the lower half of this icon that says New Part. And we're going to specify which type of part this is going to be. They created this menu as a shortcut menu because there are only a couple common types of parts. Material and labor are going to be your most common types of parts. So this is going to be a material, and let's give this part a name. Let's build a drywall part. So I like to say what the part is in the first part of the name, and then in the second part, in parentheses, I like to say how this part is being priced out. So this is going to be priced each. And now for us to really set this part up, we're going to hit Advanced. This pulls up our Advanced Properties window. For what we're doing, the property we're going to be mainly focused on is the quantity property. That's where we're going to build our equation. And if you remember, that's all the part is it's an equation. So our first step in building this equation is we're going to choose which type of takeoff item this is going to work. Which type of takeoff item this is going to work with when it's applied. So let's come down here to our takeoff data property group, and we're going to choose the linear total property. We're going to drag that linear total and drop it into our quantity property. So this equation starting out with the linear total measurement that the linear takeoff item got. Now we need the wall area. So to get the wall area, we're going to come up here to the upper left-hand corner to this green plus sign, and we're going to click that to add a property. Usually you'll add a property when building parts whenever you run into a variable in your equation. So this property is going to be called wall height. And over on the right-hand side in this white area, we can enter in some common wall heights. We'll create a basic drop-down list for this property. So we'll hit OK. Let's come here to the input units and let's enter these in as feet. And we'll set 10 feet as our default wall height. So the linear total is going to be multiplied by the wall height to figure out the wall area. Now that we have our wall area, in order to figure out how many sheets of drywall are going to be needed to fill in this wall area, we're going to need to divide it by the area of a single drywall sheet. So to figure out the area of a single drywall sheet, we're going to need to add a few more properties. So let's add a property for width. Let's add a property for length. And let's add a property for drywall area. So width is going to be feet for the input units and feet for the output units. Length is going to be the same. And drywall area is going to be square feet. So our default width is going to be 4. Our default length is going to be 12 feet. And now we'll take our width and we'll drag it and drop it into our drywall area property. We're going to take width and we're going to multiply it by, we'll drag and drop length. So we figured out 48 is going to be our area for a single sheet of drywall. So the wall area is going to be divided by the area of our single sheet of drywall to figure out how many sheets of drywall each we'll need. And now if we don't want to get a decimal in our result, we're going to come up here and we're just going to round this whole thing up. So we'll round it up to the next whole number if it's even slightly over decimal wise. Another thing that's commonly added to drywall parts is the number of wall sides. So we'll come up here, click the plus sign, we'll add a property for number of wall sides. So number of wall sides, we'll set 1 as our default. This whole thing is going to be multiplied by number of wall sides. So for our final step in building this part, we're going to come to our input window. And if you remember, the input window is the window that first pops up when the part has been applied to a takeoff item. And it lists the common variables that actually matter and how that part calculates out. So we want a few more properties to show up there. We're going to check our wall height, our width, our length. We'll do number of sides, and we skip drywall area because this property is a backstage property. It's not something we're going to need to see on our input window. And we'll also get markup percentage and cost each. Cost each is an ambiguous property. It reflects whatever the quantity property has figured out. So because our quantity property has figured out how many sheets of drywall each we're going to need, this cost each is going to be the price for a single sheet of drywall. If we had left this at the wall area and we were pricing this drywall out per square foot, this cost each would be the price of a single square foot. So let's go back here, and this is what our final part is going to look like. So to use that part, we're just going to drag it and drop it onto our takeoff. We can enter in a cost each. And now when we come back to our estimating tab, you can see that based off this initial linear feet measurement and based off the information that we entered in to the input window of our drywall part, it's figured that we're going to need 17 sheets of drywall each, and this is what the total price is going to be for all of that. And that's how you use parts and build parts.